And good morning from Maryland's Eastern Shore. I'm at my undisclosed location, and I decided to spend a few minutes talking about the ads we're seeing for Howard County Executive. I've already written about Alan Kittleman's spot, but there's a couple things that have been bothering me, and I either couldn't quite put my finger on it at the moment, or I wanted some time to really reflect upon it. And here are the two things that I think really are deficient in Senator Kittleman's ad. One is the fact that you have a handful of people that claim to be Democrats or independents, and they're saying they're voting for Kittleman, but none of them say why. And I think that's a problem. It's like to the average viewer, you're hearing this information, but you're not understanding. Uh, okay, you're doing this action A, but what is rationale B? And I think that's the problem with that ad. I understand it's a 30-second spot. It's a limited vehicle for a lengthy discussion, but nonetheless, that's an issue. The second thing, and it's one of those things you kind of sit back on is like, yeah, it probably wasn't the best move they could have made, and hopefully they're recognizing this, is putting Andy Barth up there. Now, granted, he carries some name recognition based on his long career in journalism, and I know he ran as a Democrat in 2006 in the congressional primary, in which he was unsuccessful. But the problem is that fundamentally he's been flacking for Republicans for years now. He worked for Ehrlich. I believe he's a paid staffer for Kittleman now. And so now you're sticking your paid staffers into your own ads to extol your virtues. That's kind of reminiscent to me of when Herman Cain ran as presidential, and he did that ad where his campaign manager was lighting up and talking about how great Herman was before Cain broke out into that really slow, creepy smile that he did. Anyway, I don't think it was the best move putting Barth on there. I think the cross section of voters that they could have drawn from could have been made stronger by not including Barth in that spot. And I just wanted to also elaborate on one thing. I did write that it flushed cash, and I largely believe that to be true. Let me just say this. My understanding is it's a fairly sizable ad buy. I want to say it's mid five figures, somewhere in there for TV ads that will run from when they started to, I guess, end of August, Labor Day weekend. And if they're able to do what they're trying to do for a third of the cost, fine. Then you can almost you can make a case for it. But unfortunately, no. If they're spending 50, 60,000, whatever it is they're spending, I think ultimately they'll realize maybe $10,000, $15,000 worth of benefit from it. That's my take on it. And that especially hurts them given the fact they have relatively limited resources. They definitely don't have the war chest that Courtney Watson does, and so I think you even need to be more frugal and more fiscally responsible. And I don't see that happening with that Kittleman ad. I just don't think they're going to get what they want to get out of it, and I think they'll look upon this as a mistake. Anyway, I'm already 3 minutes 50 seconds in, and I haven't talked about Courtney Watson's ad yet. Courtney's ad. I like it. I do like it. If Kittleman's ad, all told, is in that C plus range, I would probably give Courtney Watson a B plus for the ad. Here's why. It's actually visually engaging. Production values are great. The messaging is solid. If there's one thing that I was trying to wrestle with this, and I had to watch it a couple of times because I realized I was so wrapped up in what she was doing, I wasn't paying as much attention as to what she was saying. Granted, the visual is extremely important on the television ad. So, I mean, that's just basic communications theory. So, I thought it was fine that the visuals were so engaging in such a way that they were distracting me a little bit from the messaging. Ideally, you'd want them to go hand in hand where and perhaps it was also a sound issue. I'm not 100% certain about that. I keep listening to it, trying to think, is it my computer? Is it how this actually sounds on television? I don't know. I've only seen it so far online. But it was a solid ad. I mean, talked about the vision, talked about the plans for Howard County, hit on some very specific issues. So it was substantive. It was meatier than Kittleman's ad, which is sort of process driven and political, whereas Courtney's could be seen as more of, I can do the job, I will do the job, here's what I'm going to do if I get the job, which I always appreciate hearing those seeking public office talking about. But I think it was at that 5 second spot where she started waving to people off camera. And at first I'm like, oh, what's happening off camera? Oh, all right, people, friendly, good, okay. That it was a little bit distracting at first. I mean, it was, like I said, it pulls you in, but in doing so, perhaps you're not hearing as much about what she's talking about. I guess that's the bottom line. But overall, I thought it was a very good ad. I think it will wear well on repeated viewings, and so yeah, and I don't think as a percentage of the campaign budget, it's going to break the bank based on my understanding of the size of the buy. It's something that gets her name out there into the mix prior to Labor Day weekend, and so overall, smart. So anyway, that's it. Just trying to keep it short, and hope everyone is having a fantastic weekend. And again, have a good one from Smart Considerations.